Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on the easy fix that helps matching gift donors stick around. My name is Miliha Zajkovic, and I'm the head of product marketing here at CharityEngine. And I'm also joined today by Anne Russell, partnership success specialist at Double Donation. Anne, welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you so much, Maliha, and thank you everyone for joining us today. If we haven't met before, my name is Anne Russell, Partnership Success Specialist here at Double the Donation. And I do want to mention that we also have my colleague Peter in the chat, who will be sharing some resources throughout and helping answer some of your questions throughout the session. We have a lot of really exciting tips and strategies to share with you today, so really excited to kick us off.
Fabulous. So just a little bit of an intro for everybody who may not be familiar with CharityEngine or Double Donation. CharityEngine, we are a comprehensive fundraising platform and CRM with deep expertise in monthly giving. And Double Donation, as you guys know, is our longtime partner of ours, I think something like 5 or more years. And Double Donation has been very instrumental for a lot of our clients in helping allow their donors to discover opportunities to match their gifts through their employers. And so today, we invited Anne to talk about something that I think, Anne, both you and I are very passionate about, which is donor retention. And specifically, how to ensure that those matching gift donors stick around. As many of you know, the donors that look for those matching gifts are already showing and demonstrating a deeper level of affinity, if you will, simply by trying to do that extra step. And so that really presents a powerful opportunity for long-term engagement. And so without giving anything away, Anne, I'll just pass it over to you. Please go ahead and dive in.
Awesome. Well, for the next 30 minutes or so, we'll focus on understanding the connection between donor retention and matching gifts. I also want you all to be able to identify the barriers in your own matching gift strategy if you already have one, and have the right tools to help you remove those so you can see a significant increase, not just in your overall fundraising, but also in your donor retention. Before we get into the meat of our discussion, I want us first to pause and take a moment to look at the big picture in today's fundraising climate. I'm sure you guys have seen the statistics from last year's Giving Tuesday. It was simply incredible news for nonprofits. I think we've seen really record-breaking results in total dollars given, a total of 13% increase compared to Giving Tuesday 2024. I want to say also that this is very reflective of the current fundraising landscape that we have. Also, in terms of total dollars given, we are seeing great success as we've increased by 3.7% from last year's fundraising effectiveness project report from AFB. Again, really great news for all the nonprofits out there and those who benefit from these missions. However, whenever we see reports like these, I would always say to look beyond the numbers and actually understand the why. In this report, we also learned that the jump in total revenue is actually coming from major donors and supersized donors, accounting for more than 75% of all the dollars raised. And while this isn't really surprising news, what I want to share is that this growth in total revenue does not necessarily mean more donors are giving. In fact, the number of micro donors who make up more than half of all donors, those who give from $1 to $100, has dropped by a massive 10%. And for us, and maybe for you all too, this is really alarming. This could be due to a lot of different factors, but the point is the drop in the donor count has to be addressed. I'm sure you're all aware of the recent news about the challenges nonprofits face, but good news is, as you can see from here, we're seeing early signs that retention is finally stabilizing. But retention continues to be the top challenge nonprofits face. If you check the CCS Philanthropy Pulse from last year, 70% of nonprofits said that donor acquisition and retention are still the top challenges that they face. And so now I'm really curious to hear from you guys. So let's do a quick pulse check. Among the options in our poll that I think should be loading anytime soon, which do you think best describes your donor retention rate in 2025? I want to say last year, but that was just a few days ago. Did you see a strong growth? Not much of a difference? Was it a struggle? Or do you not track your donor retention rate at all? I think looking at the results, it's clear that retention is top of mind for you all. I mean, it is great that a lot of you guys are seeing really strong growth in your donor retention. So maybe just going back into the why. Why is it so critical to track this? First, purely coming from a financial standpoint, retaining a donor is significantly more cost effective than acquiring a new one. Acquisition is expensive and retention is efficient. And I'm sure a lot of us are well aware of this fact. Second is strong retention results in stable, predictable revenue, especially the predictable part. I know that is definitely important for a lot of us. It allows you to plan for the future without constantly chasing new dollars just to keep the lights on. And finally, understanding your rate gives you the insights you need to actually improve your stewardship because you can't really fix what you don't measure. And now, just by looking at the right side of the screen, how do you compare with the industry benchmarks? You can drop it in the chat, drop some of your thoughts in the chat, but you'll see here that the overall retention rate is sitting at 42.9%. That is already great, but I want us to focus on comparing the average new donor retention rate versus the repeat donor retention rate. Because as you can see, there's just such a big gap. We're almost seeing a 50% difference, if I'm not mistaken. And so, oh, that is really awesome. It looks like we have one organization here who is looking at 68% retention. But going back, looking at the difference between this average new donor retention rate and this average repeat donor retention rate, what this really tells us is that it's hard to get that second gift. Only 1 out of 5 new donors will give their second gift. But the good news in this story is also that once you get that second gift, the probability of them giving again increases by quite a lot, as you can tell. And so now the question is, how do we bridge that gap? I'm sure there are a lot of different retention strategies out there that you guys are trying to implement. So also feel free to use the chat to share what has personally worked with you all or what you're trying to do for the first time in the new year. We'd love to see what you're working on. But today, I want us to focus on one of the easiest and most effective strategies that we know of, one that I am hoping you guys are also trying to implement this year. We often think of matching as just extra revenue. And while it is, in fact, extra revenue, it's also a very powerful retention tool because it just provides a very meaningful additional touch point with your supporters. You're able to show a donor that their gift can go twice as far, or for some matching gift programs, even thrice or 4 times as far. You magnify their impact and deepen their connection to your mission this way. And that feeling of increased impact is exactly what incentivizes larger contributions and, drives active and effective engagement. It just turns your passive donor into an active supporter because they know they already can multiply their gift this way. And so now let's dive into what you really need to know about matching gifts, at least some of the basics. So first thing to note is that guidelines are going to be a little different per company. But for every company, there are these 5 parameters that I need you to know. One is if your institution is eligible in the first place. Good news is that about 2/3 of the companies match to almost any 501c3 organization or educational institution. So sometimes you just have to look out for the remaining third that would only match to some specific programs. And then there is that match ratio that is really straightforward. I know most of our companies have a 1-to-1 ratio, but there would be some companies out there that would even match 2-to-1 or even 3-to-1. So definitely be on the lookout for those. Another really important factor, I would say, is employee eligibility. Some companies match only for full timers, others include part timers, retirees, sometimes even spousal donations. And so, if you're ever in a conversation about matching gifts from retirees, employee eligibility is something you'd always want to look out for. Next is going to be the gift amount. This is really basic. It just pertains to the minimum and the maximum amount that a company can match. I would say the most common minimum is often around $25, but then the maximum can really go as high as tens of thousands. So that's also another thing you'd want to consider, especially for major donors. And then finally, we have deadlines. These are also, I would say, very company specific, but they're really essential information for your matching gift outreach. We don't want to be outreaching to a donor with a matching gift program that has lapsed already. So, also keeping in mind the program deadline of that specific company's matching gift program. I would say, though, that this is typically by the end of the calendar year or within a few months of the original gift. And so I wanted to share those specific program components with you first, just because I feel like it highlights exactly how hard it is to keep track of all of these different information. It's not just one company we're going to be dealing with, right? So think about it. Unless a donor has their HR handbook memorized, they probably don't know their specific match ratio or if their recent promotion changed their eligibility status. So, this complexity leads us to the biggest barrier that we face, which is the lack of awareness from donors about their eligibility. And this is also the main reason why nonprofits are missing out on their giving and their matching gift potential. Now that we've established the link between retention and matching gifts, also identified the roadblocks to securing those funds, I want to share with you all three things that are core to your matching gift strategy. And I do want to preface this by saying that all of these tips I'll be sharing would really take you to be more proactive about your matching gift strategy and make sure that you're targeting putting it in front of your donors. Because again, we're targeting this lack of donor awareness. So the first one being is mentioning matching gifts during the donation process, which I feel like is really a no-brainer, right? You need to mention matching gifts while they are still in that giving mindset. I mean, think about it. They are already there, they're filling out the form, they're making the gift. If there is a chance for them to double their impact right then and there, why wouldn't you tell them, right? And so by bringing it up while their wallet is already open, you catch them when they are most engaged. Instead of just trying to chase them down later, it just makes sense this way to already mention matching gifts right at the start of their gift. And also because we know for a fact that matching gifts can encourage your donors to give more. I would say you can level this up by also providing actual next steps directly after that gift. If you can share the right forms and the specific information about their own matching gift program, also do it, most especially right after they just submitted that gift. If you have tools that help you surface those specific opportunities to make it effortless for them to act before they even leave the page, I would say that is definitely one of the biggest must haves of optimizing that donation form. Before we move on to the next, I just want to ask this simple question. Just any guesses from our audience today on the average open rate for a matching gift email that is sent within 24 hours of a donation? Just any crazy guess. And I'm seeing here from Jerry, call all first time donors to thank them and find their connection. Also, everyone gets emailed a thank you note by the next day. That is really awesome. That is also one of the strategies that I'll be sharing with you guys. So maybe getting ahead of myself here. I'm seeing some guesses here, 25% from two, 75% from Eric. Great guesses, quite varying in the range, but really great guesses. Any other? 5% from Janet Phillips. And so I want to share with you guys that the answer really is 53%. Comparing this to our average open rate of 28.6%, this is according to the 2026 email marketing statistics for nonprofits by Nonprofit Tech for Good. I would say that the open rate is actually pretty good for a matching gift email that's sent right after a donation. So that just, as you can tell, really reiterates the importance of matching gifts and how it is very impactful for a donor themselves. And so that brings me to my next must have. Since we're trying to overcome that lack of donor awareness, we can't just rely on them seeing it once. Sending a follow up email just provides a very valuable second opportunity for those who might have simply missed your first mention, maybe on that donation form that I just mentioned, or for those who did not even know what that meant. Because, quite frankly, not every donor you'll encounter would be aware that there is this matching gift program that exists. So, needless to say, this follow up email just gives you the chance to also explain to unaware donors what this program means, how this will impact your organization, personalize the information for that specific donor. And like a member, or like what Jerry mentioned, it also would give you another opportunity to thank your donors right after they made that gift. And so, beyond the logistics, this also presents a significant stewardship opportunity. It's a chance to acknowledge your donors again and remind them of the impact their gift is already making. And if you can frame it as thank you for your gift, here's how to make it go even further. That way, you're able to educate them on the program while you're strengthening that relationship. And finally, for my last non negotiable here, is for you to also promote matching gifts on your website. I mean, we can have matching gifts on the donation form. We can be sending them a thank you email that also mentions matching gifts, but you also need a permanent home for this information. So, by creating a dedicated matching gift page, you're providing a central place for unaware donors to use as a reference in just learning about matching gifts for the first time. Plus, it gives you the flexibility to really reinforce the story, explain why matching gifts are so vital for your mission, and how this extra fund fuels your mission. And so I have here on my next slide just a quick sample from an organization who's really trying to promote matching gifts on their website. Obviously, there would be more than one way to design that page, but there are a few components here that, for me, makes an effective matching gift page, at least from those that I've already seen so far. Of course, keeping it on par with your branding to make it familiar for your donors, having some matching gift information as well for donors, again, who are going into this page for the first time. I really like how they added a step by step process here. It just makes it really simple, I would say. And so you can also add an FAQ section as to how we would have it in our other pages, I want to say. And then also making sure that your contact information is available, especially for donors who might be going into that page to get some information from your org that they might need to submit that request to their company. I want to say, since again, these matching gift programs really differ per company, I want to say that it's usually the EIN that's really important. Also, having an email that they can reach out to, an address, and a phone number, of course. And then a real plus, I might be a bit biased here, but a real plus, as you can tell, is if you can have a way to provide actual specific information about a donor's matching gift program and really a way for them to determine if they are eligible in the first place. And so we've covered the technical side, the non negotiables you need to capture that revenue. But I want us to go back and align with our goal today, which is, after all, to build a lifetime supporter. I think I've mentioned in the beginning how matching gifts can drive larger gifts. And it is an actual known fact. I think we were able to share our statistics page on the chat, so please feel free to check that out. But essentially, based on our research, 1 in 3 donors will actually give a larger gift with an average increase of 51% when they know a match is offered. Aside from this, I want you guys also to use matching gifts in your strategy of upgrading your donors by paying special attention to these 4 parameters of a matching gift program here. And also be on the lookout for really generous matching gift programs. I know there would be quite a lot, but at least at top of mind, I know Coca-Cola, Johnson and Johnson, Amex, some of these companies would have a 2-to-1 ratio, and some companies would also have a really high maximum amount. I know Deloitte would have a $32,000 cap for employee matches. So if you already know that some of your donors are working for these employers, definitely mention that. And especially for companies like Soros Fund Management with a 2-to-1 match ratio and a maximum of $100,000 as their max amount. Those are really some of the companies you'd have to take a look. Just be connected with your donors about, and essentially even add them to your campaigns. If you can use all of your different channels to advocate about these specific programs, that is definitely up to your strategy. But all in all, what I want you to take from this is to know when to use these matching gift programs up to your advantage. Maybe on your email, you can mention that, hey, Deloitte will match up to $32,000, or again, have some campaigns that highlight these programs by mentioning the companies themselves. Next thing I want to mention is, again, really just going back to acknowledging your donors, mentioning this again and again because it is quite important and also is one of the easiest ways to build that personal relationship with your donors. It helps them visualize the impact of their gift. So maybe by saying something like, this gift, your gift of $100 has helped feed 5 cats, or something like that. Just making it also creative and personal to your mission that way. Speaking of being creative, I know I've also added this sample because I feel like it is one of the most creative ways and also one of the most effective ways to actually talk about something that might sound intimidating and difficult, talking about matching gifts here, and turning it to be more relatable by using actual donors as examples. So, highlighting success stories and testimonials of donors who have successfully had their gifts matched simply builds a sense of community and reassures new donors that their contributions are impactful and that it's doable. Because if I'm a donor and I see this, it just makes me feel like a lot of the donors are already doing it. So, why not take a look at that specific program? I hope that makes sense. Last I have on here is, if we're talking about making your donors feel really connected to your mission, it's also really important to share other ways of helping that don't necessarily require them to give. And I want to say matching gifts is one great example of that, but another one would be volunteering, for example. So, similar to how donations can be multiplied through matching gifts, there are also ways to actually extend the impact of volunteering through volunteer incentives, volunteer PTOs, those that could be beneficial for both the volunteers and the organization. And so, matching gifts and volunteer incentives are just some of the examples of workplace giving programs that are out there. There is so much opportunity here to extend your fundraising efforts by tapping into these resources that I want to say are often overlooked. By looking into these programs, you aren't just able to engage your donors, but you're also able to unlock an entirely new revenue stream for your mission. I know I've covered a lot of strategies today, from capturing donors right on the donation form to sending those follow up emails, building an educational hub on your site, not to mention keeping in mind these different nuances to a company's matching gift program. So I understand that all can sound like a lot of manual work. And that is exactly what we try to solve at Double the Donation. We design our platform, I mean, me not included, but our platform is designed essentially to take those non negotiables we just discussed and turn them into an automated workflow. So we are able to provide the tools to help identify eligibility during the donation process and automatically trigger those stewardship emails after the gift is made. Because at the end of the day, our goal is really to help nonprofits and help them operationalize these strategies that we know could be really time consuming so that you can capture these revenue without adding much administrative work to your team's plate. Aside from those tools that I mentioned, you might also be interested about the auto submission feature that we have at Double the Donation. As you can tell, the matching gift process itself is very donor centric. So you would really have to rely on your donor to do this next step and actually submit that matching gift request. And for you also to await that reimbursement from the organization, see if that has already come through, or see if you have other next steps that you have to fulfill. The great thing about auto submission is that it basically skips a lot of those steps. Just by a click of a button, allowing Double the Donation to automatically submit these gifts on their behalf for a matching gift request, that is something that could easily alleviate that matching gift strategy for you guys. It could definitely help save time and also save your donors' time to actually be able to extend their gift. And with that, I also want to mention how CharityEngine and Double the Donation make all of this possible for your organizations. Part of our team up with CharityEngine is to make our tools available on your forms. So, to help you streamline the process right during the moment of giving, you would have the option to add our tools directly on your CharityEngine forms so you can prompt your donors to enter their employment information and automatically provide those next steps. And of course, with our partnership, we're also always in the mindset of sharing educational sessions like this one, educational resources for our nonprofit partners. And so, through webinars like these and other collaborations that we do with our friends at CharityEngine, we're able to share at least some of those researches that we've really spent a lot of our time on and really hope to help nonprofits in our own little way. So I hope you all really got a lot from our session today, and I hope you're already in the lookout for our next sessions. Oh, I think you're muted, Maliha.
Oh, excuse me. That's a rookie move right there. Thank you so much for your presentation, Anne. A lot of interesting content. I especially enjoy the bit about, the ways that a matching gift could really motivate somebody to give. Even as a donor myself, when I think about organization that I give to, if they were to follow up with me, letting me know that my employer could match my gift, I think that's an immediate incentive for me to take action. Everybody wants to see their, donated dollars stretch further. I know we're going to have some questions coming in here, but just wanted to highlight a couple of things regarding CharityEngine and a little special gift we have for anybody who's attending today. If you happen to be in the market or considering a new fundraising CRM platform, and now might be a good time to explore some options out there, feel free to give CharityEngine, add CharityEngine to your list. We are, as I mentioned, truly built to give fundraisers a complete picture of every donor. So not just donations, but engagement across email, events, recurring gifts, advocacy, and pooling all that data in one place allows you to have the context that enables, I think, smarter follow-up and smarter outreach. I mentioned at the beginning of our call or our session that we also put a lot of emphasis into recurring giving and retention. And so with that in mind, I want to just take a moment to highlight Sustainer IQ, which is our built-in subscription billing solution that's specifically designed to reduce passive churn and keep your recurring donors giving longer. And if this is kind of getting into techie lingo, when we're talking about passive churn, what I mean is anybody who is no longer giving because not because they truly intended to stop giving, but because perhaps their monthly their credit card expired, or there was another reason that perhaps technology got in the way and you're no longer able to collect. This is an area that we really shine in, and what we've seen from our customers or new customers that come over to CharityEngine, they're able to retain up to 30% more in their recurring net revenue. And in addition to Sustainer IQ, I also want to highlight there's a lot of automation and workflows that allows you to use to respond to donor behavior, whether it's their first gift or lapsed gift, or allowing them to upgrade to monthly donation without having to rely on manual work. And in addition to that, being able to personalize emails so that you can call out things like, employer names and follow up automatically with folks, allowing them to look for whether or not their organization matches their gift and pull in those matching gifts. I want to highlight a little gift that we have for everybody joining today. This is just for those that are attending today's session. So if you are interested in learning more about CharityEngine and want to explore if this might be a solution that's right for your clients, and matching gifts is something that's also top of mind, as we mentioned in the beginning, we do have out of the box double donation integration. And today, for anybody that happens to book a call with us, we are giving that integration for free. This is going to give you a very easy out of the box way to allow donors to search for matching gifts, whether it's on your website or your donation forms, and be able to see that all your data flow into your CRM and donor records easily for reporting purposes. So simply scan this QR code if you wanted to book a call. Again, no pressure. This is just, for many of you, might be just an exploratory call, which is perfectly fine. We're also going to share the URL in the chat. All right, shameless plug there. Thank you for bearing with me. But Anne, I'm going to circle back on some questions. We have a lot of good questions. I'm going to take it here from the top. And this is a really good one. So thank you, Dave. We have a question about what happens if a donor searches for their company and can't find it in the database. I think a lot of times that's the first thing that I think the people we speak to wonder about, right? Like, not every company may have matching gifts. What's the right move here?
Right. Thank you so much, Dave, for that question. And I think actually Peter from the chat already answered that. So let me just reiterate for everyone and maybe add a bit more to this. So if you're unable to search, or if a donor is unable to search their company on the database, it is likely that the company isn't currently listed. So it's possible that they still have that matching gift program, but they aren't listed as a company in our database. So there are a few ways to go about this. You can automatically, or you can just submit through a form at Double the Donation this specific company's matching gift program. So if you are aware that this company actually has a program, you can request them to be added to our database by just filling out a form. And I would say another way to actually have this added is if you're a Double the Donation client and you find a company, maybe a company that specifically only matches to your organization, you'd also have the flexibility to customize the tools to show information that are specific to your organization. So if I have Cat Rescue Club, for example, to be a company that would only match to my organization, I could just go into my Double the Donation account as a client and then add cat rescue club in there and their specific program details. So I can make sure that at least for my tools, my donors would be able to see this specific company listed because we have a special partnership with them. So that's just one of the many unique ways you can actually add companies into the database.
That's awesome. It's always good to know that there is a way, if there isn't an obvious way to do a matching gift, what can you do instead? We have also another question from Karen. Karen, thank you so much for submitting this question. And I've seen this one come from our clients before. Is it possible to pursue retroactive matches for donations made last year? So let's say folks gave last year, and now you're thinking, oh boy, a lot of these folks work for companies that do matching gifts. Is there anything you can do to collect those matching gifts now?
That is a really great question, by the way, and also something that's very timely because, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned this in my earlier slides. Most of these company programs would have their deadline to be by the end of the year. But I want to say that it is still possible if we're just talking about the possibility. It's possible to ask your donors to get their previous matches to be submitted for a matching gift request. But then I would also recommend you to look into the exact program details of that specific company. Because even if we see a lot of these programs to have end of year as their deadline, a lot of them would also still be extending actually their program. So it might be maybe extending it for a couple of months even after their deadline. So definitely be on the lookout for those.
Very good. I do have a question. There's a couple more coming in, but this question actually reminded me of a question that I hear a lot, and that is, how can folks find a full list of companies that do matching gifts, eligible gifts, or eligible organizations, basically? And the reason I think that folks ask that question is because they may be looking into, say, our CRM. They can easily see or pull a report that shows them where their donors work. And so they want to be able to say, all right, for donors, I can see all these employers, which of these donors work for organizations that do matching gifts? Because once I know that, I can do a targeted campaign and go just after them and basically incentivize them to give a gift that we know they can match.
Mhm. A targeted campaign, first of all, is definitely a smart way to actually promote matching gifts into your database, I want to say. I also want to add to your point, Maliha, if it is for that specific use case, there is an option within your double the donation account to actually match these companies into the names that are on your system. So if, for example, you have these names on the CRM and you have their company information and you're just a new double the donation client, you can actually import their information into our system so we can automatically map it. And within your double the donation account, you would see all the donors on your list that would have that matching gift opportunity. But also, to go back to the question itself, we don't specifically give out a static list of companies. One, because we find that these company matching gift programs really change on an annual basis. It's very erratic, I would say. So we do have our database team who's always on the work to update the information that's available in our database. That's why, although we're unable to provide a static list of the 25,000 plus companies in the database, we do have a lot of blogs actually. If you just type in top companies, or even if you're looking for a specific matching gift program in your area, you can search for top companies in this specific area. And I'm pretty sure you would find a list that's through a blog of double the donation. So at least that is a tip I would recommend.
Fair enough. All right, we have a question about if say they're not using CharityEngine, certainly you guys partner with many more platforms. How can somebody become a double donation client, even if they're not using CharityEngine?
So that is true that we do integrate with a ton of donation platforms, CRMs. You can go into our website. I think I have added a slide in here. Let me just share this with you as well. If you can scan this QR code, that should direct you to a form that would allow you to get connected with a representative. And so, depending on the platforms that you use, you can definitely specify that in that specific form. So, our team would also know and be able to give you specific resources that are aligned to whatever tools you guys are using. But you can simply just go on our website. To give you a short answer, you can simply go to our website at doublethedonation.com/demo. I think maybe it's just safer to use the QR code, but go to our website, fill out the form, and wait for a team member of ours to connect with you.
Excellent. I'm just confirming there aren't any other questions. Looks like we tackled most of them. And thank you so much. This was very helpful, and judging by this engagement, I think a lot of folks are having their wheels turning and coming up with some ideas so that they can get those matching gifts rolling in. Thank you so much for your time today. And I hope this was most helpful to everybody who joined us.
Thank you for having me. And yes, I hope it has been helpful.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, guys.